Welcome to the stream. I'm going to be talking to Drew. He wrote an article about Smash Brothers community. He's talking about it a lot. The Smash Brothers community. This article has gotten some backlash. It's kind of interesting. And he asked me how to deal with that backlash. We'll get into the article. I'll read it in a second. It's about anti-Semitism and other things. But I'm gonna get that fucking link out, okay? Can you fucking let me do that? Thanks, babe. Let's get that fucking link out. So how's it been, babe? Huh? You miss being neglected by me? Oh, that's so sweet. I'll do my best. We're cooking in the Smeth lab. Yeah, we got 2 streams lined up. I got this stream talking to Drew. Should be pretty interesting. Let's read that article. And after this stream, then I'm going to be talking to someone else about autogynephilia. I'm talking to a self-aware autogynephile. It goes by Sasha Fem Reznov. Sasha Fem Reznov. Is Fem really your real middle name? Huh? Well, let's find out. But first, we're going to talk to Drew. Let's read that article. Here it is. So, yeah, I'll read it to you guys before popping off my convo with him. Let me take one more swig. If you will grant me that. The fucking swig. A moment to swig. I'll make sure the swig. I'll share the experience with you. Are you ready? You're really going to swig with me. Ready? Oh, man. Oh, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. Oh, thank you so much. That swig was for you. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Fargo Lefty. Let's read this fucking article. Thank you very much. Okay. Unhinged thoughts on the Cody discourses by Drew, the unabletable, a Smash Brothers player. The guy has optimized the hell out of everything, and Z-Jump would make things slightly better. But the fixation on this one mod is funny. I haven't seen a single input he's done that I couldn't do in principle with my regular controller. Excuse me. No fox is going to suddenly start winning games because of switching, and in fact, we'll probably lose games for a while. If you want to emulate Cody's success, you're better off getting a hot trans girlfriend coach who can make sure your notches are always perfect every tournament. But if you really want to emulate him, maybe just get better. His gameplay being boring to watch is basically a tale as old as time. For book club, I'm reading Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance and Pirsig's romantic classic Split. And Pirsig's romantic classic Split describes this. If you have a lot of technical knowledge or a willingness to rewatch situations in frame by frame, there's an aesthetic appeal in all the micro situations that Cody plays really well in. But when your eyes glaze out and you just want to shout at the screen, it looks exactly how Fox is supposed to play. Boring. Everyone said the exact same thing when Armada was winning everything with Fox. They're both technically classic in the Pirsigian sense. ZAMM, page 74. I'm guessing this is like I don't know what this is from. The classic style is straightforward, unadorned, unemotional, uneconomical, and carefully proportioned. Its purpose is not to inspire emotionally, but to bring order out of chaos and make the unknown known. It's not an aesthetically free and natural style. It is aesthetically restrained. Everything is under control. Its value is measured in terms of the skill which this control is maintained. So this is somebody talking about this dude, Cody's play style with Fox. Basically, everybody is, they think he's boring. They think he's boring to watch. His gameplay's boring. It's so unemotional and uninspired. To a romantic, here's another example of criticism. To a romantic, this classic mode often appears dull, awkward, and ugly, like mechanical maintenance itself. Everything is in terms of pieces and parts and components and relationships. Nothing is figured out until it's run through a computer a dozen times. Everything's got to be measured and proved. Approved, oppressive, heavy, endlessly gray. The death force. That's interesting. I have a lot to say about the author of that quote, but let's continue reading. Within the classic mode, however, the romantic has some appearances of his own. Frivolous, irrational, erratic, untrustworthy, interested primarily in pleasure-seeking, shallow, of no substance. A lot of that seems contradictory to me. I don't understand what the person is going for, but I can tell that they're scared. All of these people sound scared to me. For a million reasons, spectators prefer romantic players like Mango or Zane by a mile, who frequently surprise with their choices. When you're trying to improve as a player, though, the classical player like Armada or Cody shows you what to do. His description as the death force is totally spot on. It feels apocalyptic. When Cody wins, it feels apocalyptic when Cody wins, and it did when Armada was winning. What are you supposed to do? It's all perfectly put together, and there's no room for artistic expression. People naturally leave totally depressed when he wins, and lecturing them on how they're idiots for not seeing his little eccentricities in this or that optimization that's no one is both good enough at the game to notice and charismatic enough to describe to regular players. Isn't going to heal the divide, as if this Fox is some disgusting aged bottle of wine that, if only your palate was refined enough, you could enjoy the mature notes. It does make it very exciting when someone does find the flaws and picks them apart. We see the whole crowd cheering in ecstasy as Cody tilts to a planking Jigglypuff or Samus. If Mealy is cyclical, his perfection won't last, and it'll get picked apart eventually, but it never feels like that in the moment. It always feels like this is the end for the entire game, the death force. The boring character, the technical boring character, the autistic character is at the top, and all the creative, exciting characters and the creative gameplay is just gone, and these people are freaked out about that. Despite M2K's short reign pre-Brawl, this kind of death of the game language was used at the time to describe how impossible he was to beat. Cody has a bit more going against him than Armada, though. Armada's personality is like peanut butter and jelly, inoffensive, economical as his gameplay. Boring, but who can blame him for being Swedish? Cody's personality is much more like sandpaper. There's something grating when he pops off, his voice high-pitched and cracking, screeching. I believe he was diagnosed autistic. He's ADHD too, on stimulants, a recipe for being annoying. Not that I condone his annoyance. Not that I condone this annoyance, excuse me. So, Drew, who I'm about to talk to, doesn't condone the annoyance. Well, maybe we can ask him about that. I think there's something bigger under the surface. Some of his supporters have pointed it out, but only in the positive. Jewish players are glad to have one of their own on top for once. No one wants to acknowledge the elephant in the room, so I'll have to. There's an anti-Semitic undercurrent in the discourse in our community. We have to acknowledge and respect the best player, if begrudgingly. We have monthly dominance tests, and the results are final. Nothing to argue. But as a society, we don't have much experience with Jewish people on top of the hierarchy. Name 100 women. Try naming 2 Jewish people who were the absolute best in competition you cared about. Can you name some heroic Jewish protagonists of big epic stories? There are some cultural reasons within their community for this kind of invisibility, but for how represented they are in positions of privilege, they're shockingly underrepresented as number one of things. And us Goyim are less equipped to handle it respectfully. I won't get much into detail for fear of dog whistling specific tropes. I will say months and months ago, watching some tournament, I realized it, rooting against Cody, seeing his fist pump in the player cam, thinking, ugh, why is he so cringe? The faces he makes are so annoying. The way his face scrunches up and the bouncing of his little puffy hair. And it hit me in horror, that subconsciously his Jewishness was informing my feelings negatively. How could I hate this guy for his Jewfro? What's wrong with me? Now when I watch Mealy top 8s on the couch with my Mexican girlfriend and she heckles the best Fox player, I tell her to think twice about why she hates him. We root for the dinosaur to triumph, of course, but congratulations are in order for his dominance. And if we're so annoyed with his dominance, maybe we should look inward about why Jewish dominance makes us so uncomfortable. I don't find him so annoying anymore. He's like this perfect intersection of things people hate but won't say out loud. Dates a trans person, neurodivergent, changed his name, colorblind, would-be lawyer, highly successful and boastful, Jewish, and worst of all, wins with Fox. Our community is built on dominance for Mealy. Whoever puts in the work deserves our respect, and oh, this Jewish boy is doing the work. Though I'm not annoyed anymore when he finally gets picked apart as M2K was by Mango or Armada by HBox. I'll be losing my mind in the crowd with everyone else. As he said in his winning interview at Battle of BC6, it's going to make it that much more sweet when I do lose. It will. Okay, bitches, that's the article. We're about to talk to Drew. He also read my article. We might get to that if we run out of things to talk about here, but I've got a lot to say. I don't think that this actually... Okay, I'll tell you. I'll give you a little secret on what's to come. I think it's cool to acknowledge and understand your anti-Semitism in this way, but I don't think that understanding it makes it go away just because you see it. It's like you're trying to shame it away. I don't think that actually even works. And more so than that, I think that this particular type of anti-Semitism is like not even that bad compared to conspiratorial anti-Semitism. Like, if it's just that, like, if it's just like, it's like being misogynistic. You can be misogynistic and self-aware and, you know, not, and be honest about it, and it's not really such a big deal. And this type of anti-Semitism isn't spreading conspiracy theories or spreading, you know, characterizations of Jewish people and to paint them in a negative light or anything like that. It's just like, the Jewish people piss me off. And I think that it's interesting that nobody really understands that about themselves. The only type of anti-Semitism that we ever talk about whatsoever is the worst kind, the conspiratorial kind, the more dangerous kind. But maybe if we were to talk about this type of anti-Semitism more and be honest about it and be okay with it, then we would stop fucking bottling it up and then exploding with these, no, all the Jews are doing this and all the Jews are doing that. Instead, we just be like, oh, I don't like them. That's so much better. Isn't that just so much better? I think so. Drew sent me a message. Okay, he said, I'm sort of set up, want to test. So he's just set up his new camera. But he didn't get his new capture card yet. Hold on, Drew. Okay. Okay. I said, I'm live. Can I call you? I think my sipping skills have improved. One sip at a time. I'm calling him. Hey.
Hey, sorry about that.
I'm live right now.
Okay. How's my volume? Oh god, I've got you on the stream. Okay, now I don't.
Can you turn it up a little bit?
Yes. I have... Okay. You might be able to help me with this. I have 2 ways I can turn it up. I think I have the gain that I can just dial up. Okay, is this better?
Yeah, a little, yeah.
I can do it more. How's that? Even more better?
Too much.
Too much. Okay, and then I also,
Wait,
you might know more about this.
A little bit less.
Okay. Okay.
All right,
How about that?
A little bit less.
Okay. There.
All right, now say something excitedly.
I'm gonna say something totally insane.
Little bit
and
less. Little bit
ridiculous.
little bit less. Little bit less.
A little bit less gain or a little less excitement?
Gain.
Gain. All right, how's that?
That's probably fine.
And then I have these other settings here on the other side. Decides the distribution of sound, I think, like the way it picks up the sound. We've used one of these Blue Yeti microphone. So I'm just gonna like talk into it, and you're gonna let me know which one sounds the best on your end, okay?
Sure. It's not like we're live or anything, but yeah, it's fine.
Sorry, I'm new. You're having to teach me, Smeth. I thought this was part of it. You're my teacher.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Test 1, 2, 3. Okay, this is a different sound distribution. Test 1, 2, 3. This one is the third test. Test 1, 2, 3. This is the fourth test, and I believe the final one.
I like that.
But I'll double check.
I like that one.
You like this one?
Yeah. That's the one that is
Okay.
everything set up as it is. It's the one that's not peaking for me. I think I like that one. Yeah.
And when you say peaking, that means
it has
like,
some level of I don't know what it's keeping it from
blowing up.
Yeah, I don't really even know the technicals of how peaking works, but when the sound wave goes up to the top and it gets red, that's bad, and it'll sound bad. But this is like stopping it just before that, so it's good.
Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely struggling with just the general setup of the room so that everything is good and visible and sightly, but here we are. And do you know, actually, I have a question. Do you know how it is? It's often been mentioned that Max is able to incorporate hypnosis on his audience by looking directly into the camera all the time. And well, I was wondering if you had any insight on where does he place things so that I want to be able to look at you.
He doesn't look at you when he talks to you.
He looks into the camera.
If I'm looking at you right now, I can see you here. But if I look at the camera, then I am not.
Does it feel like I'm looking at you right now?
Enough.
Or am I clearly looking off screen? Enough. Okay, this is pretty good. Okay, well, I'm not such an empath that I can just read your facial expressions from my periphery. I need to actually look at them with my physical eyes to see your emotions.
I don't need to even talk. I can just I can guess what you're feeling at any moment, and I'm always right because I'm such an empath.
Empath, yeah.
Okay, I read your article on stream live just now. Wow, the viewers just dropped off 5 people.
Yeah, people don't like me.
Okay. Anyways, so yeah, I have a couple thoughts about this. So you wanted to talk.
I wanted to add a little bit before because I heard some of your performance.
Oh, sure.
And I wanted to add that a lot of the parts where your reading gets like uncomfortable or awkward is when I'm talking about specific Smash references. There's like 200 little references in here that are hard to follow. Like even the how this Jewish boy be doing work line is because the name he changed from his tag was IBDW, which stood for
doing the work.
Yeah. I be doing work, yeah. And there's a million little things there that read awkwardly if you don't exactly know.
Yeah, it's clear.
Yeah.
So yeah, why are you writing it just so Smash people can read it? I'm not you're allowed to, but
it's for the Smash community. I mean, it's for my whole Twitter project right now is trying to change the Smash community and how they view everything related to everyone. Just the entire moral landscape around that community is just extremely insane, and that's what I'm feeling really attached to. So that's where I don't know. That's what right now, apart from math-related art, that's the art that I'm focusing on is finding morality in this space and finding ourselves and trying to be
Finding
sincere.
morality, it feels like a fool's errand almost sometimes. It seems like you have to.
So that's what my next thing that I'm working on. I'm going to make a video essay for the first time. I'm going to make a video essay that I'm working on. And it's going to be on moral humility is the topic. What do you do when we don't know anything,
that sounds
including what's going wrong? Yes, okay. That's just a little preview.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. So, I think that the type of anti-Semitism you're pointing out, I think it's really good to point out, but I don't think that pointing it out, like I just told my chat, I don't think pointing it out makes it go away, and I don't think it's even that bad, because when we talk about anti-Semitism, the thing that comes to mind is way worse than that. That's right. Like just, every day, like, oh, these people annoy me, and we all have those thoughts every day about different people. I mean, like, how many times do you go to a fucking like 7-Eleven or like let's say that you're like a software engineer and there's diversity hires or something. Like we all like have these conversations.
And you're like, I had this thought passing by for me recently. Now that I'm going into the data science field.
Yeah.
I'm doing a master's in the fall in data science. I've decided my university. I'm going to University of Michigan. It's very exciting. But in any case, I had the horrible passing thought, well, I love Joe Biden. I'm going to be voting for him. But it's going to be oddly good for me if Trump is elected and, pulls back all the immigration on all these H-1B visas and the supply of labor of people from India who are really good at programming goes down. It's like, oh, that's really
there's no party that's really pro what I'm saying, which is being open about our biases, but not like, because like it's everybody's been sold on this absolute dog shit lie, and I think you were kind of sold on it too, motherfucker. I think it's a fucking blatant falsehood that when you acknowledge your biases, it makes them go away, or that they have to go away, and like you have to like shame them or suffocate them. It's just like, if you know that you have this tinge of like anti-Semitism, and just be clear, it's very different from the mainstream anti-Semitism we're talking about. Right. Like we're just like saying like it's just a subconscious bias. If you know that and recognize it and are comfortable admitting it, then you've done, in my opinion, all like the work that you like. Now you can have a heart-to-heart with a Jewish person, and without anything in the way. You can just tell them that.
Yeah. Two things I want to say to that. First, there's a you mentioned that it's like this subconscious, really small kind of anti-Semitism, not the usual like
conspiratorial,
globalist, conspiratorial. Yeah. Now I do want to mention that I picked this particular kind of anti-Semitism very carefully. I kind of mentioned it, that if I start actually talking about the real kinds of anti-Semitism, I started to get kind of nervous that I'm going to be literally just anti-Semitic. Like, I'm just going to be spreading anti-Semitic ideas about this Jewish player that people are going to then go off and spout around. And so I really tried to disarm that as much as possible by picking something almost so innocuous you could barely even call.
When you say picking
his
something,
puffy hair,
are you saying that you?
He's got a lot of Jewish characteristics, and I picked one that is so like ridiculously innocuous.
What else pisses you off about the Jews then? Huh?
Actually, I think I like the Jews. Like, I think a lot of their things, I think I get along really well with Jewish people. I think that there's a lot about their culture that works well for me. But there is random little, there is something, it's hard to explain, but I noticed in everyone else, there's no Jewish people on top. And then seeing them on top, they sound kind of whiny. When you think of a Jewish hero, you think of like Larry David, who's very self-deprecative, who's very noticing of his own flaws, not someone who's like, exclaim about how much better they are than everyone else, and is like totally sincere, and we all just need to like actually accept it rather than like laugh at them for being pathetic or something.
Yeah.
And I don't think we would feel as annoyed about it if there's also like they do have a nasally tone of voice that makes it a little more annoying. Or he does, anyways. I mean, I have a nasally tone of voice.
I mean, like,
for sure too.
That's the first time I've ever really made that association. But I mean, I don't think it's like racist to say that like black people have lower voices than white people in general. So, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So I was very, I was pretty. In fact, I sent the article to you before I published it because I was like, "Is this shit gonna get me banned? Am I gonna get banned for posting this? Is there anything that's like really bad in here?" And I feel like I towed the line exactly, and that's part of why people freaked out so much. Is because usually there's something to do when someone says something upsetting the Smash community. You get to ban them, but there's nothing to do over any of this.
But you are now saying that you're towing the line, so it makes me think that you're holding back.
Yeah, you're not the first person to point this out. So I had a friend who said, like, isn't this like, it feels very disingenuous.
Yeah, well, not very, a little.
A little disingenuous. Well, I think the difficult thing that we're in is that the community is super repressed. So it's like, it doesn't feel like I can say anything. And anything I say is going to be going through this like really, really heavy filter to make sure it's okay to say.
And you don't
I don't even know what an unfiltered thing would be to say. This is the closest to unfiltered that I've been in public. And you can see the reaction is terrified.
Yeah. Oh man, those examples of those three examples of people talking about why they don't like it when he wins. That writing just annoys the shit out of me. I hate that. Just the way they were talking. It really, to me, honestly, was very obfuscated from what they don't even know what they think themselves. They just know they don't like it, and they're trying to use adjectives and try to be flowery.
There was something that was a little unclear, I think, for you. That big quote block from Zam, that's Zen in the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. So I saw you were upset about that author, and you will get your chance.
So that is okay. So that's not from somebody criticizing him.
No, I have paraphrased a lot of criticisms under that dichotomy, this romantic classic split. That romantic classic split comes from Persig in 1970 or something. And so I'm bringing in olden wisdom to say that this is a tale as old as time, the frustration between people who want something that's immediately on the surface, exciting and interesting, and then people who want something that's technically intelligent and very carefully put together. So I included a few quotes. I included a few quotes from actual people, but when you're in the Smash community and you read it, you can see the parallels really easily. These are storylines that are basically already built into the game about, Cody's boring, it's really robotic, Armada was boring, he was really robotic, Muta King was really robotic, and then there's these like free flow players, like there's a lot of narrowness.
I notice it even in this conversation. That I feel like, so you're talking about trying to be controlled in how your article is going to be received, and I can see that you want to kind of control where you want to keep the conversation,
you can take it wherever you want. I spent so much time thinking about it since writing it that I have a million thoughts all bouncing around. I don't mean to be controlling, but I'm almost just sharing thoughts. If you've got some other direction to take it, go ahead. It's not to be controlling.
Well, I'm saying I feel like you're controlling because I just feel controlled.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough.
I'll
give you a little more space.
I lost a couple. Don't give me more space. I'll give you less space. Don't give me more space. Okay. So yeah, that really pulled the rug out. I thought that was people writing about. Okay, yeah. I thought that was people writing about the Smash player. So you're just using that as an example of the way that you're talking about it. Okay, that makes so much more sense. Okay, that now I don't hate that quite as much. But still,
I could find quotes that fit that. I could find quotes that fit that really strongly,
Okay.
especially from those 2 days. But yeah.
yeah, because the overuse of like a list of adjectives and stuff to me comes across when you're talking about a specific thing. It comes across as searching, and I don't think you know what you're talking about. You're afraid to really encounter, to dig deep to figure out what the fuck you're trying to say and say it. But if you're not talking about something specific, it might actually be more. You're actually putting more words to make it less vague, because it's always going to be vague. The death force. Okay, so the guy.
I love that.
So I love that, and I also the guy who is playing the most technical, by the book character that's the most boring to watch, winning, is the death of the game. It's almost like a speed run that has been completely solved. There's a new glitch that you can win, like when Ocarina of Time is a speed game that people love, and at one point they discovered a glitch that lets you wrong warp to, you basically just go right to the end of the game.
I had an 18-minute speed run that game. I used to speed run it a lot.
So this is like an RPG, and you have to get all these different items to go through it, and they figured out how to use a glitch to get no items and go right to the end. And then you can learn how to do that, but there's not all the other shit they learned how to do is now useless. It's like it just killed everything. So they made new categories. So
which is a beauty of its own.
Yeah. Like that fact of the making new categories really. It's like AI. We're like afraid, AI. We're afraid that AI is going to kill the game, or it's going to kill all art for us.
Yeah.
We're just going to make.
That's why I used an AI art picture for it. Did you look at the AI art picture?
Yeah. It's
Oh
it's
my
kind
God,
of.
it's so good. It's so good. Every time I look at it, I just start losing it.
Yeah, especially with the trans thing incorporated in there, and then just random. What is even that? So there's the moon, and then there's the between the moon and the Star of David. There's another symbol. I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, not totally sure what the wreath is. And then the black and white, in case it wasn't clear, is to represent Cody's color blindedness.
Oh, cool! Wow.
Yeah.
I just noticed the moon, the crescent moon, but with the gender male mark on it. It's so fucking funny.
It's so fucking funny,
dude. Yeah, the really character.
You got really bad about that picture too.
It really captures the obsession with inserting symbols into shit that I really hate. I'm working on this visual art thing in my free time a little bit, and I'm just shoving symbols in it just because it's just everything I hate. There's a new trans flag, guys. There's a new pride flag. There's a new pride flag that's got another triangle on the other side with more shit in it.
For a new person.
It's getting closer and closer to the meme. You know the meme from 2016 where you had the pride flag, and they added Burger King, and they added every single symbol, Antifa, every single possible symbol.
We need a 30 gigabyte fractal that includes all things.
Yeah, and you have to learn to think as the fractal. The fractal.
In fact, I wasn't sure how to get this across. And one thing that's interesting is when you make art, you don't really know, even in the process of making it, you have some idea of what it is, and then once it's there, it's not so much yours anymore, and then you can look at it yourself and figure out what you think it means too. And so I've been thinking about what it means, and one of the things I don't just mean the picture, I mean the article as a whole. And one of the things I had trouble getting across is that in this player's story, a lot of it are these random facts about his membership in different groups. So he quit law school for this. He's colorblind. His girlfriend fixes his controller all the time, and she's his coach and saves him.
And she's trans.
Autistic. Maybe.
Oh, she's not trans?
So she commented on this yesterday, saying, just throwing this out there, I appreciate the comments a ton, and I am flawless, but I don't identify as trans, just some random cis girl that happens to work in trans porn.
Oh.
uh,
I don't know.
okay, I would define her as trans, and I think you would, but I'm not gonna go and say she can't define herself how she wants to define herself.
Okay, I get it.
And I'm gonna be very careful about,
I get it.
Yeah. I'm not gonna comment much on that in any case.
Coward.
Yeah. I'm the coward. I'll take it. You can take that. It's fine.
Yeah.
But she seems great. She seems
you don't
nice
want to. You
cool.
don't want to. You don't want to. You know. You don't want to step on her toes. I get it.
Well, another thing is I felt really uncomfortable in part, and this is something that happened with your article too. Is both of us wrote articles that were about another person.
In part, and mine was half and half, but yeah. And when it's about the other person, there's a little bit more respect that you should. Mine is if I had written it about anybody else, it would be such a severe breach of social boundary, like typical social mores and boundaries. So,
I sent this essay to you a few weeks ago. I had this disagreement with this girl on this Berkeley thing.
Wait, I wanted to make a point. Oh, wait, let's talk.
Go ahead.
I wanted to make a point about the last fucking thing you said.
Okay.
So that's why I feel control of this, because I feel like you are like leading me along. But and I keep losing it. I keep fucking losing it.
You're gonna look for a direction. I'm like, all right, let's go. I've got a path for that one too.
Yeah, but then you took it somewhere else.
Every time you notice, you can take us back to the path that you went. About your relationship with the art after you. So one of the things that you wanted to ask him about, and one of the main things we're here to talk about, is responding to criticism. This is something that only now, just now, I'm starting to kind of actually figure out emotionally. And part of it is it was hard to figure out for me because I had like anti-fan trolls that make it confusing to distinguish between real criticism that's annoying and criticism that's actually there's this one guy in Mr. Girl's subreddit called For Jort Airplane, and literally every time I say anything, he says the opposite, and he will argue, like he will try to explain to me why. Basically, he's trying to gaslight me every single time I say anything, basically MK Ultra style. Like the MK Ultra was doing experiments on what would happen to somebody psychologically if you like constantly disagreed and gaslit them about every single thing they ever thought. And I think they did that literally to Charles Manson. No, not Charles Manson. It's what's his name? The goddamn Unabomber. They did to the Unabomber.
Yeah. That guy.
A mathematician from UC Berkeley.
Yeah.
So one of my fellow
the Smash
alumni.
community and its consequences. So there's different. So that made it confusing. But you mentioned that you, after having written it, now it's a bit out of your hands. Like people talking to me, because I have to deal with different types of criticism, I feel like I have to posture myself as if like I think it's all in my hands, but I really don't. Especially with both of us have written something kind of personal here, where we're revealing something about ourselves when we're writing it. And when you do that, it's even more out of your hands, because once you've written it, then you can take a step back and look at it like you're not even like the one who wrote it, and like who is this fucking freak that wrote this? What am I learning about that myself? Like you're looking at yourself from the outside once you did it. So it's even being in your hands is still about out of your hands in a way, if that makes any fucking sense. But so other people can make judgments of you and learn about you and say things that you don't agree with about yourself, and they might be right and they might be wrong. That's all valuable. You can't in my opinion, you shouldn't shut that down, because they are engaging, and they like, even if whatever they say is like horrifying, it's still, they really are trying to connect with you. And I think that's a good thing. It's hard to distinguish that from the fucking trolls in anti-fans or whatever.
Yeah, I think you have a little bit more of an issue with the anti-fans than I do. I have some anti-fans for sure. But
Right.
Yours are like I don't know how to explain it. Yours definitely have a more sadistic.
It's like being
twinge.
MK Ultra. It feels like, but
I just see it sometimes when God, there was one from the guy. I Dream of Pikas on the subreddit. And that guy generally pretty annoying to talk to. He's hard to talk to. It's hard to. I've had some back and forths with him, and it gets confusing because at times he'll seem pretty sincere, and at other times it'll seem like he's really just trying to hurt you when he's talking to you.
Yeah, I noticed that, but he's not that bad. He's a total asshole. But but he I get, like, I feel like I get, and once in a while you can kind of connect with them. It's like, okay, I see you're a real human being. It's Vajort's airplane. It's Vajort's airplane. It does not sound like a fucking human being at all. He doesn't sound like a fucking human being at all. It sounds like he was an AI designed to fucking gaslight me. It's like I can predict everything he's gonna say before he ever fucking says it. Always, at any moment. If you give me enough time and a piece of paper, like before I press enter, I could tell you exactly what he's going to say. But I don't have that much time, so I'm not gonna always be. You just can't engage with. Once you notice that is different from not being receptive to criticism. Like this guy wants me to go crazy, and he wants to hurt me, make me go crazy.
I think Pikas does too.
Pikas maybe, but I'll go a little crazy for Pikas, a little bit, not for Jorts. Okay.
Yeah.
That's all. Okay.
Oh, you'll go crazy for him.
Yeah.
Like, you'll let him have some of that.
A little bit.
You know what? I want to say something on that exactly. When I on the drive to work after the day after writing it, I had so much more response to this than I've had to anything else I've written. And the response was so unanimously negative. I think there were the 30 comments, but then there's like 100 or so quotes that are all quote tweets that are all just like, what the fuck is this? Well, this guy is totally schizo or whatever. And I enjoyed all of those. I found it all actually extremely validating and exciting. There was, I was thinking about the lol cow, the person that you milk for lols, and you try to upset them and get them to debase themselves even further, so that then they say more ridiculous things. And I'm failing to exactly connect this exactly with what you're saying, but the relationship I found myself with the audience in this case was, well, all of you and your criticisms are so wild that in a way we're lolcowing each other, that I am being sincere and putting out this thing that's vulnerable about myself, and all of you are violating everything you really believe to bully someone who's being sincere. And in a weird, strange way, I get to laugh at all of you for debasing yourselves and violating yourselves, and you get to laugh at me for debasing myself, and we're engaged in this strange symbiotic relationship.
Yeah, it does feel kind of it kind of is like, once you kind of see it, it's like, oh, it's kind of like yeah, we're kind of like playing with each other, you know what I mean? But yeah, it's good that you see
I think it's,
that.
And I feel really equipped to do that. Where I get really defensive is seeing people do it to other people. Gets me really defensive, because I know a lot of other people,
especially people that you can tell are basically in, like, I don't know about like technically or like diagnostically, but people who you look at and you're like, oh, this person's a little autistic. When you see it happen to someone who seems a little autistic, it's like, okay, they don't know what the fuck to do with this at all. Like, they're not able to engage with that, so that's the people that always
that
happens
makes me
to.
think
And I was
And so
I was
my
just
thinking
I was
is, like,
just
I can be like Jesus a little, where I'm going to sacrifice myself on the cross in front of all these people, and you all can laugh at me, and I can laugh at you for your urge to laugh at other people, and I can take it all myself instead of someone who can't take it. That's one thought that goes through my head. There's a lot of problems or pathologies, I think, with that thought, but
I think that your thoughts are somewhat centered around yourself, but I have a completely different way of analyze, or not a completely different. I have just a different lens. And I was thinking about this earlier today. I want to do a stream. If I can find somebody who is really like a Kiwi farmer, I want to talk to somebody who's like a Kiwi farmer. Okay, because I've been like, I have in the past been completely shut off to the idea of like people that A-log or people that like do like Kiwi farms or anything like that. And like, oh, you're being abusive. It's not. They're not. I actually no. If someone's gonna like fucking A-log me, like that just means they're paying attention. And I kind of like that. That in itself is totally fine. Doxing is not like the shit, the other stuff that sometimes is associated with Kiwi farms. Yeah, and I don't even think most Kiwi farmers would be pro doxing, but it's enough of them, you know, that happens on there. Okay. But I've talked to people who like Kiwi farms that are very anti-doxing, so I get the impression that it's not everybody. But regardless, what I'm saying is, I've discovered it's not the A-logging. It's not the A-logging means like, you know, like listing all the shit that somebody does and stuff like that. It's when, so let's say that I get into a beef about my article or something. That's just for an example about my article. And I say, and I get really wedded to an argument like about my attitude about Max. Let's say that I'm just, I tell you, this is how I feel about him. I see him in this way. I see him as someone with certain similarities or some whatever fucking thing whatever fucking crazy Smeth thing I said in that. Okay, and you find like a quote of me saying something different at a different point in time.
oh yeah,
And then you're like, no, you're actually you're a hypocrite. You're lying or you don't understand yourself. And it's like, when the A-logging turns into holding you accountable in a way that we do not hold people accountable in a normal like reality, it's just being abusive. It's not the fact that they are like paying attention and interested in what you're doing. It's the fact that they're paying attention so that they can abuse you. And there's a difference. And
you're saying with a sadistic undertone, like they're
and I don't even think they realize it though. A lot of these people that do that tactic, they actually think that when you contradict a statement that you made in the past, or a position that you held in the past, or actions that you did in the past, and you no longer condone those actions, they think that means that you are like condemnable or nobody should like listen to you or anything. But we all are like that all the fucking time. So
yeah.
Right.
We hold a lot of contradictory kind of views.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even need to change my opinions to be a hypocrite. I'm a hypocrite every fucking day. You know? Like there's always going to be things that I'm going to be hypocritical about. So that it's like just because you're writing down everything I'm doing or whatever, that doesn't mean that you can hold me to standards you don't hold other people. I mean, honestly, you should be a little bit more fucking lenient, you know? Because you're gonna like notice more of the weird shit that just happens with everybody.
So the idea of awareness leading to leniency. So I have this kind of underlying.
So you think it should?
Yeah, I think so. I think that in progressive culture, and the Smash community is like this really strange microcosm of progressive culture, we should expand the amount of things that we notice are problematic and dial down the consequences for engaging in problematic stuff like a lot. I think we need to expand a lot and dial down the consequences.
Yes, okay, no, I've been making this is why I somewhat hate talking. I don't actually hate talking to you, but I'm trying to have more conflict. going right for the conflict, but we agree on a lot of things, and the ways that we agree, we both find interesting. So we don't. It makes it hard for me to go right for the throat. But yeah, this is something I've said a lot, and people like absolutely don't agree with us here. Okay.
Yeah.
This like, what I will talk about abuse, and I'll say like we are all a bit abusive sometimes, and we should acknowledge it. And then when I have these types of conversations, and I'm saying it's not the same as beating your wife when you I don't know what is like something when you every time your wife tells you that she likes music, you always tell her exactly everything why you don't like it, and until she stops telling you that she likes it. And then it's hard for her to like things because she's your wife. Okay, that's something that's abusive that you could do. But like I'm sure a lot of people do shit like that, and like we're all a little shitty. Maybe that's your shit. That's the thing that you do that's shitty to your wife. You're gonna have a couple. Okay, so to acknowledge it is really good. It is abusive, but maybe
not the end of the world.
If you can tell her that you know it's abusive too, that helps a lot. Just
a lot.
Yeah, you don't even need to. You can be like, I know that I'm being shitty when I do this. Just tell me. It
makes it a lot easier to handle criticism too. If you're able to just like be aware when you do something messed up. I had it. Wait.
Let me finish my point though. Just
last week. Okay, fair enough. But I want to put a pin.
Yeah, I'm almost done. So it's just. I want to widen the definition of abuse, and when I do that, everybody comes at my throat as if I am like weakening abuse. Because no, abuse has to be when you deserve to go to fucking jail, and it's like no, like yes, you do deserve to go to jail for like beating your wife, but you also, if we don't acknowledge that this is abusive, then relationships are all going to be shittier because we just need to reserve criticism for the most extreme examples of anything. We need more criticism, more true, honest criticism, and less condemnation. Just like you said, I completely agree.
Yeah.
So
or less, yeah. I've found that once I've started to become a lot more aware of any abusive behaviors that I might have or other people have, and then coupling that with not being insanely judgmental or not thinking, oh, that means the person's a terrible person for engaging in that, has made me myself a lot more mature and capable of handling criticism in my personal life or in art or wherever. I had a situation recently where I'd had a tough day at work. Basically, I run this place, and there's too many things that everyone asks me specifically to do, and I was tied down in too many things. And there was this little girl who's having just a terrible day, but I'm tied down with 2 assessments. I can't leave these assessments. And one of them is on the spectrum and very like he's kind of getting ready to be very loud and disruptive, and I'm kind of
starting to freak out.
Not freak out's a strong word. Freak out's a strong word because his attitude was good, but basically, I can't. Just be disruptive. Just be disruptive and be distracted from his material. He needed me to be a nearby to keep him on task.
Okay.
Or else he was going to start acting out. So he needed me to take care of him, basically, which is fine because he's a child and that's my job. Absolutely. And but there's this little girl who was 7 or 8. And she's having a bad day, like really, really bad, like the worst day we've seen there, the worst day I've seen from a kid at the center in a while. She's refusing to do any work, on the verge of tears, and we're a little understaffed. So, and I'm having to rely on my staff to handle it. So I have my assistant try to work with her, and he's getting kind of impatient with this girl who's not doing any work, which is the exact opposite of what you want to do. You want to be basically totally understanding, like, oh, you know, I know you're refusing to do this. I get that. I know stuff is really frustrating. Do you want to talk about it? Do you want to talk about what's upsetting you so much? You have to go into like little therapist mode and really, and in any case, there was some relative chaos in the center. And then the owner is just being a real jerk about it being too chaotic in the center. And he's asking me to do things. And it's like, I'm tied down with stuff I can't do. And he's just being a really annoying owner. And then I get home, and my I have a few things I need to do because I'm having these snippy texts with my owner. And I asked my girlfriend, hey, could you set up the switch in the bedroom? Could you set up the switch in the bedroom? And that involves plugging in some wires. And she runs into some problem with technology.
Really quick, what does this have to do with the girl that was having a bad day? It was just your day was bad?
It will come in. It will come in.
Okay.
On the next day. Yeah. On the next day. Yeah. This story is not as polished as it could be, so bear with me. But it's all relevant in some way. So my girlfriend, goes in the bedroom to try to fix the thing, and I'm on the text, and then she's coming in to tell me, hey, can you fix it? And I'm like, I need to do these texts. I can't be tech fixing stuff. Can you just fix the wires or whatever? And she's like, okay. And then I'm exhausted, and I come in, and we're going to play some video games. We're going to play the Princess Peach game. And I come in, and it's not set up. She's just on her phone scrolling. And then I have to go and fix whatever wires things it was. And it was just because she was using the wrong power cable for the switch. It didn't have enough voltage or whatever. Yeah. Well, that's what I was feeling. I was really, and then I'm getting snappy at her over not fixing this thing, and she's getting defensive. And then I let it out, and I'm just and I just start crying. I'm like, why couldn't you just, I just really needed you to fix it yourself, because this whole day has just been people leaving problems for me to fix. And then she immediately, as soon as she sees me getting really genuinely hurt over it, then she enters her caring self, and we hug it out. And then the next day I recounted a little bit of this to a coworker, and then he's feeling a little defensive over this stuff, and I make some comment about how well, if I had been with that girl, she wasn't gonna be crying anymore. I would have been able to fix it. And I was still kind of venting and annoyed at my staff for it. And a lot of it was very bantery, back and forth. And I usually don't
passive aggressive.
From my end, it was, yeah.
From your end,
and from his end too, I suppose.
So from there, it was probably were they not taking it seriously, and you were playing along with not taking it seriously, but being very cutting.
It's funny you use that word cutting. What I'll say is the next day, he said, hey, can we talk for a bit? And we talked in the office. He's like, hey, I think the way we talked about that yesterday made me feel really bad, or something like this. And the word I used to describe was, oh, yeah, geez, I can be really cutting with how I, banter about these things. And that, and his ability to come and tell me, hey, that wasn't very good. And for me to say, oh, yeah, I guess I was having a bad day, and I was being really vindictive, but it was pretty messed up. I kind of undermined you in front of other employees in a way that wasn't totally great. And then I explained kind of the difficulties I was having with every problem has to be solved by me. And then him saying well, but you need to be able to trust in us. And when you say that, it feels like you don't trust in us. He took it very hard after that also, because he started to realize oh crap, he really didn't handle this little girl as well as he could have.
The guy that did a bad job.
Yeah.
You think, yeah.
And in any case, him bringing up to me and me having awareness and having gotten all that out, I think let me digest it really easily, not get really, really easy. He was nervous bringing up to me because it's Jesus, it's going to end in some huge confrontation. And because I was willing to accept,
what did he bring up?
I was just kind of happy.
What did he bring up?
He brought up the conversation
that was in. Which conversation?
The conversation the day after.
The one where you were being passive aggressive?
Yeah, there were a few other things I was being passive aggressive about in general. There was this thing related to curriculum, and he was like, I don't know why we teach this thing. I'm like, well, this is why. And he's like, this is useless. I'm like, well, maybe it's useless if you don't have the charisma to make it seem useful.
This guy's not the owner, right?
He's not the owner. He's my employee. So he's my direct under me assistant, but also I'm training him to take my position when I leave for school. So it's a strange dynamic.
I can imagine I would not want to be your employee with you being passive aggressive. To me, that sounds horrific.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not good. And I think part of it is
Because you're going to use
so
that tone of voice you're using right now. I know you would use the same one that like laughing. You're horrible at your job. You're just yeah. I know it would be so fucked. Yeah. I too. I don't.
I'm insanely accepting, and so the moments when I'm like not totally in control and I just like kind of bully a little bit, I think end up way more cutting.
Oh yeah, I have this issue too. I will not keep myself in abusive situations, but I have like I can this mode turns on where I become really cold, and I'm like a anti-therapist. I will just sit there and tell you everything you're doing. Like, so you'll be freaking out at me and like going like aggro on me. I'll just sit there and describe everything you're doing while you're doing it, and that will freak you out and make you even more upset because you absolutely don't want to hear why you're upset, and like you don't want to hear like what is happening in the conversation. You just know you're upset, you want to tell me, and you want to hurt me, and I'm just telling you exactly why, and that makes you more abusive and more hurtful, and I just keep describing it while you do it, and you just fucking spiral, and I'm just in control, just watching you spiral. Oh yeah, yeah, I'm just like, and I don't do that.
It's not great.
I think I started doing that to Rezi a little bit the other 2 streams ago, and I feel bad about it.
This actually reminds me of something in your article that I wanted to mention that I had personal experience with. I had this exact dynamic with my my ex-girlfriend. We dated for about 2 years, and she had borderline personality disorder. She was BPD, and she would have these big emotional freakouts, and there'd be times where I would shut down emotionally, in part because I couldn't handle the anger. So I would kind of shut down emotionally and get intellectual and cold, and I would just point out the thing she's doing that's contradicting what she just said. She's saying doesn't make sense.
I need to make a distinction. When I say cold, I don't mean I'm cutting off emotionally. I become in tune with them emotionally, but cold as in like not caring about helping them at all. And yeah, like so I'm not actually cutting myself off emotionally. I'm weaponizing. Yes. It's even worse.
You're doing it from a one level higher level of awareness than 20-year-old Drew had when he was doing the same behavior. I think it'd be the same behavior, but you had more. You have an extra layer of awareness over what you're doing. To even see that the dynamic
I literally just be thinking that I hate you and I hate that you're doing this to me right now, and I'm going to tell you exactly what you're doing and how fucked up it is, even though I know it's gonna freak you the fuck out. And I'm just and then I get like a kick out of how I'm in control of the situation, and
I think I might hit, and when I think back to those situations, I'm probably doing a lot of that without a conscious awareness that I'm expressing like a hate of them. And then she's picking up on that because people, like, she was extremely in tune with these subtle shifts in attitude. And also, I think anger in that way, that kind of freaking out anger, is usually begging for someone, please, like, tell me you care about me and you love me and to take care of me.
Yeah, and then the thing that I also pair that with like personal insults too. So not only am I being very empathetic and telling you exactly what's going on emotionally with you that you aren't even aware of, I'll also do that and then tell you you're a piece of shit coldly. It's really, I think it's because of my mom.
Okay, your mom would do that?
No, I would do that to her.
You do that to your mom?
To defend myself.
You defend yourself against your mom and...
Yeah, defend myself emotionally. And give myself power back. I would give myself back power. By,
like, she's kind of freaking out on you.
She's trying to hurt me. And so I just... I defend myself by becoming like a mirror and just using her own. I mean, she doesn't do this like right now. Like I don't let that kind of
It's
thing
different.
happen.
I understand.
But I'm like talking about like, you know, growing up, and I don't let that kind of situation happen anymore. That's the thing. So the way I am now, I will, if something like that starts, like a situation like that where someone gets really upset with you and they just want to hurt you, and you like there's usually no situation where you have to be stuck, except if you're their boss though. So I would probably start doing that too. Well, I don't know.
I'm generally as a boss, I'm too much of a pushover. I think this particular encounter, one thing that was tricky about it, well, I had even said with Emily's, it felt like I can't even talk about this without basically telling whoever's listening that they're an idiot who can't do what they need to do. And then that's ultimately, when I vented about it at work, that's ultimately what I ended up communicating to those people. And it ended up being...
Yeah, but this is your, like, yeah, but you always have this problem, okay? And I'm not super close to
I want to say something about the thing you said about your mom. I didn't mean to totally change the subject. So say your thing, but I do want to say something about your
okay,
thing. Okay,
I'm not super close with you, but it's very clear to me that you always have this problem of trying to toe the line and trying to, like, walk the very fine line. And I think that sometimes you just have to take responsibility for being a fucking asshole and, like, I'm like, you, and then if you admit it, you're like,
I'm trained by my mother to know how to make sure that whoever I'm talking to does not get really mad at me.
Right.
People find it very difficult to get really mad at me, to be genuinely really mad at me.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I was noticing about you being controlling. Yeah. I was just saying, like, you're stopping.
The moment you start to get a little annoyed, I find some way to disarm it, and like.
But I'm trying to go for the annoyance is the thing. Like, I want to be annoyed with you because it's like a stream, and if we go into what we disagree about, it becomes more like. If we just start agreeing with each other about shit, we won't actually get into something really interesting usually.
Usually. I think there's probably some ways to do without that, but that is one path towards vulnerability is like deep conflict.
Yeah. All right.
Well, your mom's story, I think, was pretty interesting. With my mom, I guess I want to say something that feels somewhat similar, and then you can bounce off. My mom will get very abusive. She can be a bit abusive to my dad. In fact, we had a very long talk the other day about our relationship with it, and she has kind of a whole narrative around her anger that's very challenging for her. And I think that she's borderline. I think that's how I was kind of trained from a young age to basically attract borderline people. I had this way of being extremely cutting as a child, where whenever she would hurt me, like the times where she did like physically hit me over it, I would use that to make her feel so horrible about herself. I'd be like, I'd get slapped across the face, and then I'd be like, did you really do that? You really sunk so low just to hit your child?
You would do it passive aggressively.
Yeah.
I had a similar... Okay, I feel like I lucked out because I feel like you got a shittier version of what I got. The other way I was describing, I think I'm definitely shittier than you, but when I would do that, I had that same epiphany, but I had that epiphany and I was like inspired by Jesus. Like it was the turn the other cheek. And I heard like a philosopher say, like, the thing about turning the other cheek is it destabilizes your enemies. And so so like, let's say I get hit or something, then I wouldn't like be passive aggressive about it. I would just not, I was like, I need to not be afraid to just be hurt. And not hiding that is the most cruel thing that I can do to them. So fuck them. That's what and I did that to people. It's bullies at school all the time. I would just be like, "Oh, you're gonna hurt me? Well, you're gonna look at me get hurt. Fuck you." And it worked actually.
Hurting me is just hurting yourself.
Well, you're gonna like. I'm not gonna make it. I'm not gonna take care of you and make you feel like you're not a piece of shit. I'm just gonna like you're just gonna be a piece of shit.
Now, I want to add that something that's really confusing when you engage in this is you're suggesting I'm just going to take my hurt and I'm not going to hide it for you. But how do you know subconsciously you're not playing it up, making it worse for them? I guess that's what I'm getting at. Is this same behavior? I think it's really hard not to like, once you have that awareness of like control over yourself or how you express yourself when they hurt you.
Because I would say that the way that you know is if you're thinking about it, then you are controlled enough to where you are being manipulative. But if you are just letting go, then you are not able to think about it because you're genuinely destabilized and hurt. And that's the path that I'm lucky enough that I was not. So if you're going to do something that's going to emotionally dysregulate me, I'll just get emotionally dysregulated. That's something that people criticize me for, like, but I'm just laugh at them when they do because, like, no, like that's good. Like the reason anger exists, so anger is like a horn in your car. Someone cuts you off, you honk the fucking horn. That's why it's there. That's why we get angry. People do shit that crosses our boundaries. We get mad. I'm a bear. You come into my cave and and then you're gonna get the fuck out of my cave. And that's why we get angry. So we should, and if you're emotionally regulated enough to where that doesn't happen, I think that might actually be a detriment. Because like there's a healthy amount of emotion you're supposed to have. Then you're gonna if you're so controlled
relationship with anger.
If you're so controlled that when something happens that you're supposed to get angry over doesn't make you angry, and you have to make space for yourself by being manipulative or playing up the anger, now you have to engage like sociopathically when you wouldn't have even had to do that if you just were more dysregulated in the moment.
You're definitely describing me or something I struggle with. My relationship with anger is confusing. My conversation with my mom the other day was about primarily her relationship with anger and how it's so different from my own, in large part informed by her. For me, once I've drawn awareness to it, it can be hard to remain angry. Somehow that will disarm the anger in a great way. I can remain angry sometimes, but it's not that often. And once I'm aware
clear
of it,
in your article. It's clear in your article because you said, look, and a lot of people think this too. I don't get it, but that when you know that you're anti-Semitic, now you don't feel it. But I don't think that in itself makes it go away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. It does disarm it, though, in some way.
You can be like, oh, like you can be like, you know why you feel that way. It's like, oh, I know why I feel that way. It's because he's fucking Jewish. And so you know it, and then you're like, okay, now this makes sense. And like,
sometimes, I think maybe though, sometimes anger is like not being able to accept. Like hatred is in some ways not being able to accept who someone is. And so if you notice that you're angry over something you should accept, that you feel like you should accept, and you didn't notice it before, bringing awareness of that, I think, it brings some acceptance. True,
but I don't accept people on the basis of race. I do it with sex, and that was, I had to get to that place kicking and screaming, and I had so much resentment towards women because I had this complete, and people criticize me for being a blank slatist now, but I was way worse, and I needed to, like, when I thought that women and men were completely the same psychologically, then it just was like, when women don't behave like men, I would just be like enraged and just like just incredibly upset. But accepting that we're different is like, it's just so much better, and I have so much more respect for women now. But I don't feel that way about race, because race is way less of a real thing than
I feel
sex.
Like race and sex are way different. I've been saying for a little while that sexism
is learned.
Yeah. Racism is born from ignorance, and sexism is born from experience.
Yeah.
um, uh, yeah, I have a mixed relationship with that concept of the sexual blank slate. I did and do still feel resentment when there's this underlying assumption that we're all supposed to act the same and be the same, and all the sexes are totally the same. And then when someone acts in a totally stereotypically, toxic, either masculine way if they're a man, or toxic, but mostly now toxic feminine way if they're a woman. And it came to a head. There was a point about a year and a half ago where I started to believe rather we really are all the same fundamentally, but there are some ways it comes out differently with men and women. And let me elaborate with the example so it makes sense what I mean.
It sounds like you're trying to think it through. So can I just, I've thought through this particular question. So this is something I was just talking about today. So I can just, this is what I think that we do not understand the actual differences between males and females. And for a lot of political reasons, we muddle it. And I think if we actually want to have a society that is not sexist, I'm not saying it's not going to be misogynistic, but if we want to have a society that is not sexist, then we need to do way more research, and we really need to nail down what the actual behavioral differences are between men and women that are not tied to like your like socially learned behaviors or are not. Also, there are like secondary things like your morphology itself can inform how you interact with the environment. So just by being a woman, you're a little bit physically weaker, and that might make you have a certain attitude about men, but that's not because you were born to have that attitude. It's just because of the relationship with your environment, because of your physiology, that type of thing. We have to parse all of it out. And at the end of the day, what is actually psychologically different between men and women, and what is being trained into us through our culture, and we don't know the answer to that, and I don't think we have any good answer to that. Until we do, we're just going to be confused and resentful of each other, and not able to accept and love each other for what we are.
Okay, well, all that's interesting. While you said that, I decided that I'm not going to share the story that I was going to tell. It's actually pretty traumatic. I'm going to think about exactly how I want to relate this to this topic some other time.
Good.
But the awareness of misogyny is something that I've been struggling with. Or actually I struggled with, and what I've come to is something akin to what's in this article. There's this real contradiction. I think we've talked about this before in progressive circles, that under patriarchy, we all have internalized misogyny. Like, we all kind of hate women, and that's just like a fact in patriarchy. That's part of what holds women down. But if you say anything that signals I have misogynistic feelings or I am a misogynist, this needs to be like deeply restrained and repressed and held down. And it really doesn't make any sense at all. It's really, abusive and oppressive.
And it just, it makes it impossible to deal with misogyny. Yeah. And that's what part of what I'm trying to get at here is, the reaction to me noticing that being annoyed at his puffy hair is like a little anti-Semitic, is so like horrified. And it's like, what chance do we have to actually be aware of any of the like really dangerous stereotypes that we have about other people if we can't even notice the most innocuous forms?
We are so repressed and unable to notice like anything negative that
When
we
you
view
say
about
unable to notice, you mean not allowed to notice?
not allowed to notice, and most people are so conformist that they will not do the things that they're not allowed to do socially.
I would say they're enmeshed. They're enmeshed with culture.
Right?
Their psychology is intimately linked with a group. And I noticed this about myself. I noticed this about myself once in a while too. I was noticed this about myself earlier. I don't remember what it was, but I just remember noticing that there was some topic that I'm not going to be able to remember. There was some topic that I realized that I'm closing myself off to before really engaging with it because it upset me. Or like somebody talks about something in a certain way, and I'm assuming a lot about them, and I really shouldn't be assuming all that about them. The times when I'm able to break that pattern of behavior are times when I get smarter.
By get smarter, you mean become aware of it and of yourself?
Being able to engage with reality and understand what's happening means that you are smarter.
Okay.
Because, well, the alternative is to just go with a system someone else taught you of whenever somebody says anything that sounds like, or they say, because if you were to say the curly hair and not admit that it was anti-Semitism, nobody would have fucking batted an eye at all.
Or even thought that it was anti-Semitism.
Right. But for you to say that it's because you use the A word, anti-Semitism, and you use it to describe yourself, so if you use it to describe someone else, and maybe you could be wrong, but yourself, you're a bad guy. Oh my God, you're anti-Semitic? Fuck you. The point of saying it is because you don't want to hurt Jews. That's why you're saying it.
A few thoughts. Most people see the article as just being about anti-Semitism, but really it's about, or after writing it, and I wrote it in just this almost manic fury. It came out in basically an hour and a half. It was like a transcendent experience. I was just there, and I opened my mind, and that's what came out. And I haven't had many that really came out.
It's interesting that you say that, because it's clear to me that anti-Semitism is probably not the biggest reason why people are upset with this guy at all. Yeah, definitely not. If you made a tier list, it would be quite low. It's the biggest reason to you that bothers you, and it really bothers you a lot. And that's clear, and I think why people are so focused on that is because it's clear through your writing how much that subject affected you.
You know what? I would say it's not okay, yeah, maybe it does bother me the most, but not because it's the most prevalent, but maybe because it's so obscured and hidden that it reveals that we have no idea why we hate anybody. We have no idea why we hate anybody. Yes. And I've seen some people suggest I didn't even know he was Jewish. And it's that's worse. If you don't know that someone named Cody Schwab is Jewish, then you're not even in a realm where you can judge whether something's anti-Semitic or not. You have no idea.
No, I don't like that. I don't like that.
I don't think that most.
I don't agree with that.
I don't think that most prejudice.
You're doing the thing. You're gonna stop it so that I don't have to be mad at you. You're gonna trying to pivot so that you can reframe it so that we don't have. Okay. But I just don't agree. I think that. Let's say that so I still don't know who's Jewish or I still can't even tell what a Jewish name is, and I'm starting to be able to tell what people look like if they're Jewish, but I don't fucking know. Yeah. I brought this up to my dad. I was in the car ride with him, and I was like, what because we're Greek, and I'm like, what does a Jew look like? And he just got upset that I was asking him that, and then he was like super uncomfortable. I was like, oh, I don't know, I'm asking because like we're Greek, and like I don't know, we kind of have like a hook on the nose a little bit, and he just hated that I was going there at all. I don't know what they look like, but my experience in like high school and shit was the people that look Jewish that I've realized after the fact, I actually was more sexually attracted to them and thought more highly of them. So, sure, we have biases against or for people based on how they look, but like if Jewish didn't exist and they're just white people that had these genetics, it would have been the same. It's probably informed by like history or something.
Yeah,
but
I think that so my thing is that it's like a lot of it is going to be happening subconsciously. So it's not going to be like you hear that someone's a Jew and you're like, God damn it, that dirty Jew. It's going to be some kind of like
suck that dirty Jew cock
or that. Okay, I think it somehow gets harder to notice with Jew because Jew is less defined. So I want to change the trait from Jewish to autistic.
Simpler. Okay, yeah, because Jew really doesn't mean anything. It's fucking. There's like basically every single fucking race is Jewish. Yeah. Every they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. We're all Jewish. Okay, the Black Israelites are right. Okay, you guys are just trying to gatekeep it. We're all Jewish.
Those Black Israelites have a point. I read Malcolm X's autobiography. It was interesting.
Interesting. Anyway,
with autism, I've noticed. So my first girlfriend we dated for 5 years was autistic. I have my brother who I grew up and defined myself around was autistic. I have other family members who are. I've worked with a lot of autistic kids. I can like spot it like immediately. Like I can say 2 words to someone and I have like a really good radar for it. From homeschooling to who I dated to math departments to Smash.
You know who to avoid.
Well,
I'm just kidding.
Not for myself. So I actually do like autistic people. I like those autistic traits. But time after time, I've seen people repeatedly be like, God, this person's so annoying. Ugh. Why do they do this?
And then once you know that it's autism, it changes everything.
It does. It does change everything. And that one person who has no idea has no radar for autism, they end up being really ableist towards every autistic person they find.
Okay, yes, but this goes back to what I was saying. Like I agree, and that makes perfect sense. I am on board, and it's basically how I feel about the differences between sexes and stuff. But I don't see the same with race. Your attitude. If you apply that to race, what it does is it makes these things more real. When I think that they're actually totally socially constructed and they can be informed by history and stuff. It's absolutely true that different groups of people will behave different ways because they have different culture and stuff like that. Yeah. That's all true. But the way that those differences stay alive is by us making them stay alive. And so when people don't see it, then it could actually, I do understand your point that they might have the bias and not know it's there, and then that is causing them to be, to act in ways that are unfair, to be discriminatory. So yeah, you're right about that, but I just can't get on board with the saying that we should always acknowledge it,
not always.
With black people and white people, like black people, not with black people. It's that black people and white people are the ones with the beef, but really, I guess everybody's got beef with black people, right? I don't know what the fuck's going on, but everybody's got beef with black people. You know they're black no matter what. You can't avoid it. So that one's fucking. We can't. But with Jews, just give it up. No, just forget that. Just stop.
Jews? I don't know. I think the people who know right away, and then the people who don't know,
but they
don't realize they know, but they know. Okay, I want to say something. I want to defend myself. So with the this is part of the purpose of the argument that it's awfully convenient that the instant there's a number one Jewish person in anything, we're all like, God, he's such a whiny winner. He's so annoying. Hate seeing him fist bump. His pop-offs are so annoying. And I think if he were a different race, and what would come with that race would be a whole bunch of other probably statistical little changes in the way that he acts and the way we perceive him, we wouldn't think it was so annoying when he popped off.
It's just a typical black person being braggadocious.
It was super, yeah, and we would be a lot more willing to be like, God damn, that's hype.
We love it when black people are like that. We love it.
Yeah, we would be. In fact, there's a total parallel in this Super Smash Bros. Ultimate community where there was this gay kid named Captain Zach who got into all this tons of controversy, so much controversy, it's actually insane. But he would play Bayonetta, and when he would win, he would do the whole Bayonetta dance when he would win.
Oh God!
And he would do it like really well, and it was just like so annoying and infuriating. And then there's this other player named Light now, years later, who when he wins in a close set, he jumps off, he pops off, and then he does these like big Fortnite dances in front of the crowd, and the crowd goes fucking wild.
Wait, hold on. Wait, okay, I got fucking questions. I got some fucking questions.
Yeah.
Okay. So is it very how sexual is it?
The Captain Zach dances. I don't think that. Bayonetta is inherently.
All dancing
is
is sexual,
character.
and the way Bayonetta dances is probably going to be much more sexual.
But I think it hits a lot more. It hits a sexual element in your brain, but I think when you read it, it hits a lot more gay in your brain. The main things that me triggering are gay, and then when you combine sexual with gay with man, there's all these other things that are going to trigger too. They're like, oh, this is so annoying. This is so like creepy, whatever.
Well, no, this is a complex thing. Okay, this is, I think, another example of you don't mind me being so, because I've done this ever since I've met you. I've done this to you because you've let me do it so far. But this is another example of the trait that we've been talking about. I think that you are trying to suffocate something by saying like you're aware of it and it like disappears. I think it's actually so much more complicated than that. That like being aware of being upset and the correlation between him being gay is just the start. But and I haven't watched this, but there are reasons to be uncomfortable around somebody who you know is like, you know, their sexual orientation, and then you see them being sexual, and also them being gay and them being like flamboyant. That could trigger resentment in me just because I feel like I'm not allowed to be flamboyant, so I don't want them to be allowed flamboyant, and it's just like it will trigger that. And it's not because I hate gay people, it's just that why aren't you just like why do I have to play by rules you don't have to play by? And so I feel like well,
I would say that your resentment actually, one of the pieces I want to write is about the repression of male sexuality. I do think straight men feel a resentment towards gay men because gay men are allowed to be sexually free in a way straight men aren't allowed.
Yeah,
to
they're
be
even allowed
free.
to be pedophiles and nobody bats an eye. I mean,
or people bat much less of an eye.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Bat much less of an eye.
Well, some people really bat an eye, but
yeah, definitely. In fact, that's a big element. The Captain Zach thing has there's actually so many layers to the Captain Zach thing, because 2 players got canceled for having sex with him, and then he like also like blackmailed the players that had sex with him. So he was younger? With like, he was underage.
Oh god, dude. Oh god.
And then he blackmailed the people who had sex with him to throw matches, or else he would reveal that they had sex with someone who's underage. And so it's like, holy shit, there's so much shit going on.
It's honestly really funny, and totally undermines like any like typical narrative. Like, it's just it makes it so fucking messy and complicated.
It's so messy and complicated. His situation is insanely.
It makes it hard. It makes it hard for like anybody to be like because you want to hear something like somebody had sex with a minor. Okay, I know where I need to stand on this one. Okay, guys, I think I got this. That's bad.
Yeah. This minor like woke up the 19-year-old like to have sex with that 19. Like that 19-year-old woke up to having his dick sucked. Like kind of got raped, sort of. But then he was 15, and then they continued, and so it was. And then the 15-year-old or 16-year-old then blackmailed him for this or that, and
I'm gonna say,
and he did it.
I'm gonna say it. When I was 19, I would have done it. I would have felt like I would be like freaked out that I wouldn't know how to say no. When a 19-year-old me didn't know how to say no. So, yes, like
I'll say it. I had this happen to me where I was woken up to a girl, kind of trying to have sex on top of me when I was 25, 26, and I didn't know how to say no. I totally froze up, and that was extremely confusing.
And that's a different. That's it's bad, but that's also pitiful. You know what I mean? And it's not. It's bad that you didn't say. Or look, well, she wasn't underage. Like, if she was, it would be bad. It would be bad that you didn't say no. It would be bad that you didn't say no. But also, it's pitiful that you couldn't say no, and it's not the same as just being a predator. It's like, it really you're not a predator in that situation. You are hurting by not setting a boundary. You are
hurting her.
Yes, but
holy shit!
But you're not.
Oh my god, this conflict, you totally smashed that one through the. You totally nailed the home run. That was the central conflict that me and her had afterwards. Was I didn't want to do this, and I'm not trying to destroy your life by making you acknowledge that I didn't want to do this. And she was racked with a sort of guilt and confusion over how unclear the boundaries I created for her were. But then,
I can see that happening with you. You are like letting you have it all worked out in your head, and then when you try to, it just very vaguely, and when you try to express that and have it all come out, you confuse the shit out of yourself.
Yeah, self-awareness is disastrous.
Well, yeah, but you don't let the self-awareness completely connect to the other person because you don't want to go too far. Do you mind? Hold on, let me see if you're like so close to the right side of your screen.
Yeah. I can.
Oh wait, never mind. I fix it. Never mind. Don't even. I fixed it.
I fixed it for you.
Okay. Perfect.
I fixed it first.
Cool. You don't mind me psychoanalyzing you like that?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, it's it makes it gives me mixed feelings. It's interesting to open yourself up and be seen, and then it's also scary, and there's all those.
You set a boundary,
and then there's a fear behind that some smasher is gonna watch this VOD to dig up crazy shit about me, and then try to demolish me over it.
That is where my new understanding about when I was talking about A-logging and stuff, that ties into dealing with criticism, and that fear you're talking about. It's dealing with like criticism. You need to, and this is something I'm just now like figuring out. You need to be aware and prepared to defend yourself on the grounds that you're a damn human being.
Oh, I want to add something here. I know what you're getting at. For me, it's less people criticizing me as a person. I want to still be allowed to go to tournaments. I'm mostly afraid of the literal banhammer happening. I am really on the edge as it is. After I wrote that article, I was messaged by the TOs at Michigan to say hey, you need to watch how you talk. And
if you get banned, problems. You're not allowed to defend yourself and try to have a diplomatic engagement with it, or are they just completely kangaroo court?
It's completely kangaroo court. Well,
at least make them fucking. If they're a kangaroo court, look, this is something we both understand. You just make it look like they don't hide the fact they're a kangaroo.
I mean, that's what I'm doing already, and that would be the plan. But
you getting banned could be the best thing that could ever happen to this. You will unleash upon them a wrath.
Not if I'm a nobody.
That's true.
But yeah. I mean, all that stuff is true. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't be allowed to go to tournaments anymore and engage in this in-person social space where I've never caused problems in 15 years, just because some people like don't want
You
me to be
just
able
want to
like, be
connect with
myself on the
people
internet.
deeper.
Yeah.
It's basically the
But
end of it.
the community is extremely repressive. I am like really on the edge of being allowed at tournaments, and this article, it toes that line because I'm basically saying opinions that are
This
objectively extremely allowed, but in a style that is extremely terrifying and not allowed. And that's why that's why this freakout was so intense, is
and
because normally when someone says shit that makes them feel this way, well, they get to ban them. But there's nothing in here that's ban worthy. In fact, it's like so left wing.
and you're
It's
still
crazy.
holding back the style too.
Maybe. Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
But
it's
like,
developing. I'm
this
developing the style.
this is not good for you, man. I don't like, you know, like,
No,
like
you think so?
no, having that, because like having that dogmatic ban hammer over your head for something you're so deeply connected to and care so much about, and you're also on this like personal like journey of like of basically understanding what's happening around you, and expressing yourself and learning how to like express yourself and stuff, and that is just such a cruel thing to have over your head for you personally. I'm sure for a lot of people.
Yeah, fucked up. Yeah, it's been like a spiritual crisis for the last like 3 years for me in the Smash community, and this stuff has definitely made me feel like a lot more empowered within it. And this shift from thinking about it as art, I think, really helps a lot.
If you get banned, don't get mad at me, okay? 'Cause I encouraged
No, I
you.
won't get mad at you. I won't get mad at you. No, I'll know. It's the same way where when Max gets banned from stuff, and it's just like, well, that was his destiny. that was going to happen eventually. You just know it's going to happen eventually. But there is some hope that if I just follow the rules exactly enough and I express myself exactly as much as is allowed, that maybe I'll expand.
I don't
what's
think that's a
allowed
fair.
to
I don't. His bans don't make any fucking sense though.
They don't objectively, like explicitly recording the rules, make any sense, but they underneath that totally make sense. They make
you
sense
are
because
not-
your conscious mind is not surprised when he's banned. I'm not like, what? He got banned again from YouTube? I can't believe this. I'm like, oh yeah, god damn it.
I don't know.
Fuck that website.
I don't know. I don't have that same type of reaction. My reaction is just feeling anger and fear. And fear because I'm like, him being banned affects me too, so I can't really have that same type of engagement. Him getting banned was really bad for me. So
Okay. How so?
because I started doing, like, the reason I started streaming, I kind of I mentioned this in the article that you read that I wrote. It like he was making a space for the type of art that I wanted to be doing that there was no space for, and then him leaving the Destiny sphere and then getting banned, that space completely collapsed and no longer exists at all. And that's one of the reasons I'm so like attached to him, like personally, is because he's all that is left of that space, and I'm so
The platform is basically saying like, we don't want your kind.
that too, yeah. And but I do think that he uniquely, maybe part of it's been being Jewish, actually, absolutely, because considering the context around him getting banned was the Nick Fuentes stuff, but for the first time. But he's uniquely, I don't know, maybe he's not. I don't know. I want to believe he's
made me feel more like Mr. Girl than anything has in my entire life. I feel like the reaction that I got was like, oh, this is what he's doing. And I feel like when I posted, I was like, oh, I know how people are going to respond to this. And it got a lot more views than I expected, so there was a lot more of that response than I expected, but the response was exactly what I expected. And it seemed very in kind with whenever anything of his gets like large views, a kind of like horror and fear and
well, let's just so the beginning of my essay, I had a paragraph that really doesn't need to be in there, but it's exactly about this. It's that art, creativity, so people don't actually like creativity.
Oh, yeah, I actually had a section. I actually took like 2 pages. I took 3 pages of notes on your article, and I took notes on this part.
Yeah.
So I wrote. Actually, let me define it for you.
Let me say what it was first. People don't people don't like creativity because, I did that in the context of saying that people like novelty, and we like to think that we like creativity, but we really don't, because creativity is transgressive and it facilitates change. And change usually is bad. So when someone's being creative, they're being scary, probably, unless whatever they're being creative about doesn't matter. But
yeah, I wrote, you point out that we want novelty. You say a dislike of derivative art is part of an ideology that defines art as commodity. You point out that we want novelty, but we hate transgressiveness. In a parenthetical, I say, what does transgressiveness mean? Do we hate it by definition? And those who transgress often don't get to see their ideas eventually be accepted. People are averse to creativity because it leads to change. And that's a quote from your article. And then I said, and here you're implying that this transgressiveness is creativity as opposed to novelty. And
transgressiveness.
Do you think creativity is to be transgressive?
Yeah, well, transgressiveness happens when you are creative in a way that, so you can be creative. So a lot of modern, late modern art, postmodern art, basically all postmodern art. I wish this was broadcast, because this is going to make me sound fucking smart, because not a lot of people will say this, but I'm just completely right. Most postmodern, basically all postmodern art, is an attempt to be creative in a way that is completely not transgressive. So I've seen people doing things like talking to their local. I saw an artist do something. He talked to the local fire department, and he made a map of where all of the fire hydrants are, and then he used that to create a music box, spin thing with all the things, and this is what our water safety system sounds like. And yeah, you're being creative, but you're doing it. You're funneling your creativity into an avenue where it has no transgression whatsoever. So it just looks novel and it's strange, but people in postmodern art is really focusing on doing just that more than anything else, and.
When you say postmodern art, would that include
postmodern art is
generally non-representational stuff? So in terms of paintings, you'd have Pollock, or you might have Rothko.
No, Pollock, that's modern art. Okay, so the difference with postmodern, so modern art and postmodern art are visually exactly the same. Okay. They're doing all the same creative tricks. Pollock, what I just said could apply to Pollock.
You're saying he did it first.
No. So modern art was pretty explicitly about that creativity of the medium and stuff like that. Modern art is that. Postmodern art is the same thing in every physical sense, in every practical sense, but with a very strong philosophical difference. And I'm sure you know what the concept of postmodernism is. Well, it's applying the concept of postmodernism, which is that basically it's a encapsulation of death of the artist, that the artwork can mean anything to anybody and it doesn't matter what the original artist thought. So they are just it's almost just dumb art where the artist really has nothing in mind, or if they do have something in mind when they're making it, an idea, or they want to then remove it from the artwork as much as possible so that it's just some weird jewelry box with a map of fucking of water ducts, and you're like, what the fuck is this? And I can be an artist because when I look at this, then I can feel like I'm an artistic genius because I can tell you because it just makes people feel like they're the genius when really they're not. It's just a bunch of fucking fart sniffing when that happens, because him talking about that provides so much more interest to me than me coming up with some like me using literary analysis to tell you some bullshit thing. Like I know, like I know what he did, and he was doing it just for creativity's sake in itself. Postmodernism is about removing the message theoretically so that people can all have their own message, but it's really kind of McDonaldification. It's like it's making it so that everybody feels like they're the artistic genius when you look at their art. So it makes rich people feel smug when they buy it, and that's basically what it is. And there's, in any practical sense, it's literally not distinct whatsoever from modern art, except for the philosophical difference of removing the meaning in the artist from the artwork.
Great question. How would you, and you said McDonaldification, where would you put Andy Warhol into that? Is that postmodern or is that modern?
It's kind of McDonaldification in a different way. I was saying McDonald.
It's very like, it's a very self-aware sort of McDonald. It's like
I was saying McDonaldification, specifically referring to how postmodern art is trying to make the viewer feel like they are a creative genius when they look at it, because I can look at this and I can, so like one experience, if you make something non-representational, an abstract painting, and you put it on a wall, some fucking asshole, like everyone's fucking dad is gonna be like, I think it should be turned this way. And that makes him feel like a smug fucking asshole genius. And that's the point of postmodern art, basically. At the end of the day, after everything I explained, the point is to give you that smug feeling where you feel like, oh yeah, I know that's really should be turned this way, and it makes me feel so much smarter than I'm better, smarter than the artist. Andy Warhol, that's a different type of McDonaldification. He's basically like the Antichrist. He stopped making art, and he just he made an art factory. And he had he made other people make his art for him, and he would just tell them, make this, and then they made it like factory style, and he didn't give them much credit or anything, and it kind of sucked the soul out of it to make it very commercial.
But also the things that he's making are literally usually like commercial logos and stuff, which adds this strange I have to say, I feel like he knows what he's doing, at least when he does that. Like, it feels like it's like designed to be soulless.
Maybe, but
yeah. You don't like it.
It's like saying that I've heard this exact same argument applied to Farmer Bro. What is his name? The guy, Farmer Bro. You know what I'm talking about? The guy that he bought a completely...
Farmer Bro. You mean, what's his name? The super narcissist guy.
He bought a NWA album. Martin
Shkreli.
Yeah, what is it? NWA. Yeah. He bought
one of the ultimate internet narcissists. Very fascinating.
Isn't it like a NWA album he bought that nobody else has, and he won't like share it with any? Yeah. He ramped up. I don't remember. It was a contemporary of NWA.
Yeah, you're being racist right now. It's not NWA. It's a different.
It's a contemporary of it. I don't know. It's some rap group.
Some other black rap group. Okay.
I don't know. I don't even listen to any. I don't listen to NWA, so I don't know. He ramped up. So if anybody doesn't remember or know, he like ramped up pharmaceutical prices to crazy extremes just because he could, and because he could get away with it. Mm-hmm. And then like they tried to like press charges on him and stuff, and I don't know. Like I think it worked. They got like pressed. But I had friends.
No, he got arrested for something totally different. But yeah.
Okay, yeah, and okay. So I had friends that defended him like very like strongly, and they made the same argument that you're making for Andy Warhol. They said that this guy was doing the extremes, and him doing it makes it apparent, and so it was like an art form. He was doing, and it's like, yeah, but he still did it, and it still had the same effect. Like so, Andy Warhol like was turning the art industry into like he was like ruining it, And if you can call that art to do that, but he was still doing it. And self-awareness doesn't really, it makes it more interesting for sure, but at the end of the day, it's still the same thing. And if it is art and if it is self-aware, then me still not liking it should be a mission accomplished,
This is
right?
what some people say about AI art. Like, even if you make some kind of self-aware piece of AI art, you're still destroying artists in doing so. You're still doing something terrible to the cultural project of art.
Yeah, I just think that self-awareness in itself isn't a
savior. It doesn't save you.
It doesn't what is the word? It doesn't forgive you of whatever. It doesn't.
All right, I want to put a pin in this. I have a really specific question from your article that I wanted to ask. And it's kind of related to this, but I need 2 minutes to use the restroom, get some water. Is that all right?
Yes.
Restroom break. And what's your end time is going to be in 30 minutes, right? You have a hard stop in 30 minutes?
Yeah, maybe a little bit sooner than that. A little bit.
Okay, like 20 minutes. Okay.
Yeah.
You need 2 minutes just to restroom and get some water. I'm very thirsty.
All right. Let's do it. 2 minutes. That's a short one. It's just you and me now. Nobody's watching. Nobody's gonna be able to tell. Nobody's gonna believe you when you say what I did to you when we were alone, when I was streaming to you, the audience, and Drew wasn't there to save you. It's just me and you. You'd love that, wouldn't you? You make me sick. Oh, Ricky. Oh, Ricky. Oh, Ricky. You hate me so much. Oh, you. Ethan Stapley. Oh, my God. El Jim. Finnegan McBride. Ever gonna do another stream with Biddy? I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. We broke up a while back. Yeah. I'm all out of fucking Coke. Why am I leaving half of my fucking screen like this? Why don't I do this? The eclipse is coming tomorrow, bitches. You know what that means. It's time to buy some fucking cardboard little fucking goggles that make you look like a retard and stare at the sun.
All right, I'm back.
I'm gonna give you the eclipse experience.
Oh, wait, I'm going to talk about that tweet too.
I'm gonna give you the eclipse experience.
Hey. Whoa. I feel at one with nature right now. The wonders of the natural world.
Yeah.
Okay. So, on the whole, that being creative is in some sense to be transgressive, to be like really creative is to be transgressive, or people aren't going to like it when you are, or something.
And I think that art that like does like the fire hydrants and like the music box and stuff inherently, in a way, is less creative. It's creatively castrated or cucked, or it's hindered, and because it's trying to just be as non-transgressive as possible.
So then at the end of your article, you say this thing about how, like, after seeing the success asterisk that Max had, I wanted to be an artist as well. And I wrote in the note here, what is success? What defines success?
Well, when I said success,
transgression?
when I said success with the asterisk, I meant at the time when I started streaming, he still actually had success, and that's been stripped of him. There was a space I figured I could make a career, and now I'm learning I'm gonna have to build that space myself. And he'll do some help, but there's not much he can fucking do. He's banned. So I need to terraform all of internet culture. And
So what does it mean to be successful if you're being transgressive? I've been taking. I want to add another thing too here, I guess. I've been taking the extreme dislike of my article as like, wow, that might be the most successful thing I've ever written. Like, if I can get 150 people to tell me they wish I was dead, and I can only get like 60 people to say they liked it, it's like, wow, I really touched on something. I really hit some emotional chords that I've never quite touched on in quite that way. There's something like deeply successful in making something that most of the people who view it feel very uncomfortable or hate a lot.
It's like, but like, so like if you get banned, then it will have stopped being a success, in my view of it. Or at least like in the sense that I'm saying it, like in another sense it's not, but
it's even more of a success.
That's true, but
Christ on the cross.
I think success kind of sounds like another concept that fits into the success is power, and in getting the reaction, it is empowering of your message and is empowering of you, and art that is not successful is art that has no power. So you getting banned makes you less successful because it takes away power from you and it takes power from your artwork. It could give you power too, but it seems like you care more about Smash than many things. You care a lot about Smash, and so you want to be banned. So that's a power you care about a lot.
So how do you measure the success of your article? How do you feel about the successfulness of your article, and how do you measure it yourself? Because it's hard, because you can't use what other people are saying, because everyone that you're seeing talk about it is not everyone, but like half the people or more are like, you're a fucking idiot, Smith.
I think it was successful. Yeah.
What for you? I'm just kind of curious. Like, when you make an art piece, how are you going to personally? What decides for you?
Well, like successful in the way that I'm saying it. Like, now for me is a different thing. The personal thing is different from the career type power success. Like I in writing it was good for me personally, and just like you said, writing that you discovered things about yourself and stuff. Writing this, I discovered things about myself. It was good for my own personal growth, and also just putting that out there and being able to connect with people over just like in an intimate way, it feels like a success. So so
success is when artistic success, you've touched something inside yourself, and then maybe it's touched something inside of other people's stuff, and maybe it's touched a lot more people, it's more successful. But I have to say, when I write something that I really like, if it even one person reading it and liking it suddenly feels like a massive success for me. Even one person. I had that one giant essay I wrote in response to that Berkeley girl. It got one clap, and I was like, "Fuck yeah!" I was like, "Fuck yeah!" That entire 2 hours was 1,000,000%. I mean, it was worth it for my own person, because I learned something about myself. Actually, there was a lesson I learned from it that I wanted to bring up here that I didn't get the chance to, on when you write about other people, and I wanted to know what you think of it.
I don't agree with. I don't feel the same that the one person thing anymore. I've tried to get rid of that.
Because you want to have more than one person, or because you want to be okay?
That just seems like validation seeking and people pleasing. if success feels like success, even if people don't like it, because I've connected with people and like put myself out there, or it's just like.
Oh, it didn't have to be a clap. It could have been one person saying, "You're fucking crazy," and I would have felt. I wouldn't have felt as like, oh, people are agreeing, but it would have felt successful. It would have felt as successful, but the success would have had a different, I don't know, harmony to it.
My thirst for success.
One interaction with it is enough to feel like my art got out there and was something for someone.
My thirst is very strong, I think.
You want more than one, is what you're saying.
Oh yeah.
You need more than one. Yeah.
I want XQC to read it on his stream.
Okay.
And be like, looking like, what did I just read? Guys.
Oh my god. Yeah, I can't even tell you how. Like I think I wasn't even in much of a mania in
guys,
writing
if you
it, but
write
the moment
this
I
about
send,
me,
once I started seeing people react to it, I watched like 2 people read it on stream, and holy shit, the fucking endorphins running through my brain as they're like, what? Oh god, what the fuck am I reading? For me, it was like, oh yes,
your article,
so good, yeah,
cool,
yeah. I had a few people. It got out there because I sent it to someone on stream. I was like, hey, I know you hate me. Here's something I wrote that you'll hate.
Cool.
And they were like, oh, I bet I will hate it. And then they were like, oh, God. And it was deeply satisfying. Okay, so I wrote this other giant essay in response to this girl who was complaining about kind of sexism in STEM at Berkeley. And I really get into how she's, I don't know, I think really hates men, and a lot of that's coming out. A lot of these different narratives are coming out, and I really get very pointed in it. Like, I guess I'm psychoanalyzing someone I barely know, and it's really quite aggressive sounding. And I felt similarly to how I do here, where it's like it's kind of not totally cool to like take someone's work or someone and then just like completely pick at every single part of them in it. I felt very mixed in writing this about Cody for the same reasons you mentioned about like when you write about someone, like you're really I don't know defining them, and so I justified it for myself in both of these cases, but in that one explicitly, that it's not totally fair if I, from the top of my tower, invincibly poke and prod at every single mistake and problem that you have without giving you anything in return to criticize. And so I have to be vulnerable also in doing so. That's the only way I can really justify is if I include enough. And with this one, I was thinking if I include enough ammo for people to hate me over this, then in some way that helps me personally justify that I am like really getting like psychoanalyzing the shit out of this one guy.
That
like,
makes sense on a personal level, but I don't think that's and I might have similar feelings possibly, but I don't think it's like objectively like I was saying, if I had written this about anybody else, it would be like a breach, but I don't think it's something you're not allowed to do. And if you are like a public figure, if you're like, if you write this about XQC, like he'll be really freaked out about it, probably, but well then fuck
so with
you.
Cody,
like,
I get a little bit more leeway because I don't know him personally, so I have like some kind of parasocial like viewer relationship, and he has more power, and he's like a public figure. By contrast with this random girl, she's just a random fucking girl.
Oh,
and I'm like,
yeah, that's different.
And way into it. And so with that, it's like, geez, I'm being like a real asshole by just like poking and prodding everything. So I should definitely leave some shit in here for you to really hate me in response.
Yeah, it gets, yeah.
I feel like it
gets complicated. And there's a lot of ways you can self-justify, and I can think of many. But I don't know.
Yeah, for me somehow that's an easier way to self-justify it, but they might all just be rationalizations. Okay, we're petering out. I did have a few general kind of thoughts about. Do you know the creator JReg?
Nope.
Oh, you don't know J-Reg at all. You might find him interesting. He's an artist, and he's the only artist in this space other than Max that I've ever like donated money to, or like subscribed to their Patreon, for example. I don't know how to explain it. In some ways, it's very different from Max, where Max is like terrifyingly sincere. J-Reg will say very controversial things, but from behind like layer after layer after layer after layer of like irony. But then there's been this progression in his work of noticing like, oh, all this irony that I'm using is really disarming myself from being able to feel anything, and it's really poisoning myself, and it's making it hard to actually say anything real. And he's slowly transitioned through a few different topics. So for a long time it was like political related topics, then it was mental illness related topics, and now it's generally art topics. And he's had a message lately about his message become a lot more pure regarding how do I say it? Like, I actually really thought you were going to have some familiarity with some of the stuff, because it's actually pretty popular in this general space. But he's been advocating extensively that for purposes of mental health, a person needs in real life community to feel well, and there's a million reasons why online it's really difficult to have in real life community. It feels like a substitute for it, but it's actually making you feel really bad.
It sounds all kind of obvious.
Yeah. And then the need for, as an artist, having an artistic community in which all of you are partaking each other's arts allows you to create way more. And he's been talking against this idea of the artist in their lone tower just making things for themselves, when really you're supposed to make it to be viewed. And I've been thinking about this in relation to Mr. Girl, where he is in some way like in his own little tower making his own little art, and then also almost every piece he does is in like some new medium. And I think that also creates some kind of...
That's because he's trying to find the lunchroom.
He's trying to find the spot.
He was able to reach a broad audience on YouTube, and that was taken away from him, and now he's going fucking TikTok. His fucking black hole TikTok is cringe as fuck because he does TikToker voice in it. He's trying to appeal to a broad TikTok audience, and hey guys, you know about, it's like, oh my god.
I showed this to my girlfriend the other day, and he's like, wait, she's like, is that really Mr. Girl's voice? And I think there's like an AI filter over his voice or something that makes it sound different. I don't know what it is.
I think he's just doing TikToker voice. Yeah.
But I think two things that I've thought in the last few days might be a real heavy weight on this little orbit that both of us are in.
What?
Is one, the difficulty of creating a cohesive community of collaborative art making. It seems like that sort of thing is really, really beneficial for making art. Like, you can make a lot more art if you're making it together with other people. Or you're sharing with other people and going back and forth with other people and then publishing it or something. But it doesn't have to be collaborative in the sense... I'm not getting...
I feel like I have that.
Right. Yeah, I don't think the space is totally without that. I don't think it's totally without that. But I think Mr. Girl, I'm not sure that he has that.
I know you already said that. You already fucking said that. I just think it's that he doesn't have the YouTube channel.
Yeah, that definitely.
Yeah, and I think he laments that a lot.
And then the other thought is like, because I've been feeling the same thing too, where it's like, exactly what medium am I going to be doing this in? Am I going to be writing? I'm trying to make something with video now, and I'm going to have to learn about video, and then I'm going to make something I'm speaking out loud, and I have to learn about these things. And I kind of wonder, to what extent as an artist should you be like honing your technical skill in one particular medium versus like branching out and trying different mediums? Is there a right answer to this?
No.
There's definitely not a right answer, I suppose, but do you think it limits yourself to jump from medium to medium?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Depends what you want to do.
Do you yeah, I suppose. So what is it you're working on next?
I got like some stuff for like a fun video. I've got some lyrics for like a rap song.
Okay.
Called Sexual Retard. But
have you made a song before?
I've made songs before, but but not. I didn't publish one here before. But yeah, I have this fucking commission of a charcoal drawing of some dogs I need to fucking finish. I just need to get that done.
Oh, okay. Someone commissioned you for a charcoal drawing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Someone in real life.
I noticed that you argued, and then I've seen a lot of the hate posters arguing and throwing this at you a lot, this hobbyist term.
Oh yeah.
You seem to have emotions about that term.
No, it's just people want to define like streaming as like the only way to stream is to do whatever makes it's like very entitled for someone to call me a hobbyist is very entitled because basically they're saying that I have to do whatever the fuck they want, and if I'm not doing that and if I'm not being who they want me to be and growing as fast as possible and listening to all their abusive shit and then I'm doing something wrong and I'm a hobbyist. Oh, you don't actually give a shit. No, I'm not a hobbyist. I give a big amount of big shit. It's just that I am an artist and I also am doing it on my terms and not yours. So you can, I don't know, you can fuck off.
And the thing you mean is the whole like, oh, I need a stream schedule where I stream something every single day, and that way I can maximize like people coming in and learning about my thing and
yeah,
that kind of thing. Yeah, and that's not the direction you're looking for. Well, yeah, that makes sense. But it seems like you think that the idea of if someone called me a hobbyist, that wouldn't feel like it would diminish my care about it. It seems like that bothers you more. Like it's you read negative into hobbyists.
Yeah, they're being dismissive of the fact that I'm an artist, and they're saying hobbyists to hold me to standards. They're saying because I'm less than because they're holding me to standards that are not standards I hold myself to. And
what is a hobbyist to you?
Was Jesus a hobbyist?
No, but he died for it.
Okay. Well,
definitely not.
I'm dying for my art.
Okay.
I'm working a retail job so that I can do this. Does that? I'm not a fucking hobbyist.
Okay. So hobbyist makes it feel like the art is second to your.
No, they're just completely dismissing the fact that I am an artist, and they're saying that like I have to be a Chud Logic, I have to be a Destiny, I have to be a Tomfoolery, I have to be a Food Shops, or else I'm a hobbyist. And if I'd make any decisions that aren't completely centered around growth, then it's because you're a hobbyist. You just don't fucking understand. I understand. I want to grow on my terms, so it's gonna be slower. I'm building a new thing. I'm trying to build that space that doesn't exist anymore.
What's your issue though with art as hobby? Like, what's your aversion to thinking of yourself as art as hobby?
But I don't view it as my art comes first, and I just don't see if something comes first, then it's not a hobby.
Okay, hobbies are secondary to other things. Like you have bigger concerns.
Yeah.
Hobby. Okay.
Look, it's just a fucking word, and you can define it however you want. That's what that argument was. That's how it made me feel.
Yeah, but it's a word that really bugs you.
Not so much anymore.
I just not so much anymore. Okay, I feel like you are getting kind of bugged by it.
I'm just annoyed because, like I don't. It doesn't. I'm annoyed that I'm annoyed to argue about it.
Okay. I feel like I'm a hobbyist in everything, for sure. But I feel like I really like hobbies. I think hobbies like bring, like, some ways my hobbies have often brought me like the most meaning in my life. So sometimes it's like your hobbies are your most important thing because they're what brings you like joy in your life. But I think we both have like very different connotations about how we view hobbies. So for you, that feels like it's like really dismantling or
And
downgrading.
can you
what you're
call
doing.
somebody who gets like a world record speed run a hobbyist speedrunner? No. It's really it's like the word hobbyist is like a lowering of
I've done world record
expectations.
speed runs before, not in highly competitive categories.
Yeah, it's like a lowering of expectations, and it's like saying that I don't have standards. But no, I do have standards. I have very strong standards. They're just not your fucking standards. And that's where you're calling me a hobbyist to act like I don't have standards, but I do.
Okay, question. A hobbyist might be like, one connotation that comes to me is that there's a limit to how much time is going to be afforded to this thing. So, for example, 40-hour week job,
Well,
you
if
got
you
10
want me
hours of
to
feeding
spend
yourself
more
per
time,
day.
then give me some fucking money.
So you're saying like what makes you not a hobbyist is that if you didn't need the job to support it, then it would be
My art
40, 50 hours
is
a
my
week of
religion.
art. Yeah. Okay.
I'm not a hobbyist. Like, is someone who's a Catholic a hobbyist Catholic? No, they're just a Catholic.
For sure. I think
So
I guess I can see though. Maybe that's. I guess I see what you're saying then, because when a Catholic is called like, oh, you just go to the church on Easter and Christmas, that's kind of saying that they're a hobbyist Christian, and that's a little bit offensive, I think,
yeah,
to a Christian.
like if I define myself by my art and you call me a hobbyist, then you are like being dismissive of like like a hobbyist is like defined by what I whoa. Thank you very much for the 5 gifted memberships. I'm that much less of a hobbyist now. Thank you very much. You're freeing me. You've saved me. You're starting to save me. But yeah, if you it's what you hobbyist implies I have a self-definition that I don't. Like I like you're saying like the argument is that because I'm not doing the things that make you grow as fast as like as a drama streamer or something, then that's because I'm a hobbyist and I'm not taking it seriously. No, but I am taking it seriously. I just have different standards, and there's nothing wrong with being the drama streamer, but I have different standards, and it's going to grow slower. And you can say that that's stupid, but it's what I want, and I do have those standards, and it is core to my self-definition. So I can't call that a hobbyist. It's like, yeah, that's so. Was Van Gogh a hobbyist?
Oh,
No.
no. Ooh.
If you say Van Gogh's a hobbyist, then you can say I'm a hobbyist. But then
I
just
might,
think it's
actually.
stupid.
I don't think because he was just doing
then,
it kind of like in his time to express himself. Yeah, so I
didn't-
have a different connotation.
He sacrificed everything to only make art, and it wasn't just like a free time thing. It was like his sole purpose of life. He just never succeeded at making money. And then the standard you're going by is we're just making money. And I reject that.
Okay, interesting. Well, I know that your time's about up. I could poke and prod you at this hobbyist thing for a while. It is a I could really piss you off with this, I can tell.
Well, no, I'm also just being short because I want to end it so I can finish getting set up because I have another stream immediately after this.
Yeah. Thank you for taking me on for so long. What is your stream after this?
I'm going to be talking to Sasha Femreznov about who's a self-aware autogynephile, AGP, and I'm going to be talking about that.
Very interesting.
All right.
Okay. All right. Good luck with that.
All right.
Thank you for talking. It was good talking to you, Smeth.
Good talking to you. Bye.
All right. Bye.
Who's that fucking ugly guy next to me? Whatever. He just makes me look even hotter. Okay, so I'm gonna end this stream. I'm gonna do another stream, but before I end it, something's gotta fucking give. Yeah, I hate people making me define myself. I hate people making me define myself. Take what I give you from my self-definition and stop trying to force me to define myself in ways that don't make sense to me. I hate it. It's like you're trying to give me a scarlet letter. That's what it feels like. I'm gonna fucking throw it out. Your hobby. Your hobby is powerless here. This is my hobby. Welcome to the fucking hobby of Smeth. Enjoy your stay. This is my world, bitch. Once you've gotten the fucking mud on your boots, there's no leaving. My hobby's gonna be with you for the rest of your life. It's fucking in your veins, it's in the cracks in your brain, it's in every fold. It's not coming out, it's like fucking glitter. You've got fucking herpes and it's me. Rub that Smeth off your fucking face. Here we go. The stream is over. I'll see you very soon.